I mean, obviously, countries across the world are feeling the impact of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. If this closure remains in place for the next few weeks, so how do you think economies across the world are going to be impacted? Or in other words, how much worse could it get?
Of course, I'm not an economic expert, but I am following the developments very closely, and this is very serious. Remember that Trump was not believing in NATO, and he was ridiculing the NATO. Now he needs it, and he needs it badly. So this shows how important is this trade war. I mean, this war also a trade war, and Iran is gambling on that maybe force, and it's gonna be very serious, and they will have probably Europeans, India, China, Asian markets especially will be hit. Europeans definitely will be hit very much about oil prices and gas prices because also Qatar's gas production is stopped now. So Iran is betting on this. Drags too long, maybe they give up and they sit on the table. And Trump also his miscalculations. He thinks maybe other countries can help him in the protection of of ships passing through Hormuz, but it's very difficult because nobody knows. I mean, what Iran wants
Right.
from these ships. Looks like Iran is serious about closing this Hormuz, and also the war is getting serious in the other fronts, like in Lebanon and in Iraq, and of course, yeah, I mean, Israel like called up. Uh, Almost like 500,000 reserve soldiers to war. So the war is getting kind of out of control, or we see more like a escalation in this war that may have other impacts in the region and in the global scene. Yes.
Professor, you mentioned there that President Donald Trump wants regional countries and basically European countries to help in policing the Strait of Hormuz. But here's my question. None of these countries were consulted by the United States and Israel before the two countries launched their so-called operation against Iran. So why should these countries be involved in protecting the Strait of Hormuz when essentially this war appears to be a war that Israel is waging against Iran? So I think the responsibility lies on Israel to protect the Strait of Hormuz, does it not?
Yes, yes, very legitimate question because Netanyahu started this war, and looks like he just make it like a de facto partnership with Trump. So he also brought Trump in this war without any calculations, any preparation, serious preparation. So they are like in a trouble because they mostly focus on the Lebanese front, which means that Israel left the Iran war to America, and America wanted, Trump wanted to engage or bring in other partners to fight for them and delegate the issue to the Kurds. Kurds said no. Arabs said no. This is not our war because they did not, as you mentioned, they did not also consult these partners. Turkey warned them a lot in like about a month or so. They warned about the dangers of this war. They warned Trump, and he delayed the attack a little. But now he seeks help from these countries. Everybody is saying no. Great Britain said no. Germany and France said no, no not to send any soldiers to the region, to Hormuz Strait. Now Hormuz looks like is at the heart of most of the calculations. Iran don't have enough firepower to match with American force, but they are depending on sabotaging or blocking the Hormuz Strait. Of course, I'm not for this closure because everybody is. If you are fighting with America, you should fight with. I mean, the war should be between America and Iran, not involve other parties. You cannot just threaten the whole world just because like two people are fighting in any context. But as you mentioned, Trump did not consult anybody. Now he's seeking help from anybody that he can find, but looks like the help is not coming. So this is gonna be more like Trump's war, and he's gonna have a very difficult time to stop this because without engaging a total war and stopping, even maybe toppling the regime, which he also uh, kind of did not mention because He said he's not going to send American soldiers to Iran, and he's not after also destroying the infrastructure. Also, I see kind of a low dosage in this war. Remember, I mean, if you remember the Ukraine-Russia war, it was like disastrous and it was very wide scale. This war is more like a controlled or kind of a limited engagement, and Trump is waiting to see, if other people can join, and I think this is like very unlikely right now.
Obviously, we don't see any indication of that happening anytime soon. But just following up on what I asked you earlier, Professor, you also mentioned that many countries across the region are doing their best to distance themselves from this war, obviously, because getting engaged in such a conflict is not in their interest. But even Europeans appear to be doing the same this time around, which is quite unprecedented, is it not? Because look at America's past engagements in the Middle East, in Iraq, for example. The US was able to gather a coalition of nearly 50 countries. They were backing America in Iraq. In Afghanistan, Article 5 of NATO was invoked for the first time in its history, again, bringing together a coalition backing the United States. But this time around, it's the United States acting alone, obviously, with Israel, but no other partner is willing to back the US. What does it tell us about America's influence on global powers, European powers especially?
It means overplaying your hand, even if you are a superpower. If you overplay it and you disregard your friends or allies' opinions, then you are left alone. This is what's happening in America or with America, and Trump is losing his friends. He already cornered them, threatened them with taxes and other export fines and stuff. So he is now paying the price, and he is also paying the price of acting alone. And if you act alone, then it means the others' concerns are not really paid attention, and he is now paying the price. In the Iraq war, like even at that time, there was problem with, I mean, convincing all European powers like Germany and France did not join the Iraq invasion, and UK was there, and some of the Eastern European countries were there, and this coalition was an American expansion or American interventionism did not find much support even during that time. But Trump is also, he's saying what he promised. He's doing the opposite of what he promised. He said less American engagement, less American boost, less spending on the external wars, and now he's repeating the old mistakes, and this is going to be very costly for him politically, economically, and other stuff. But Europeans and major allies that he even didn't consult and didn't find, despite the fact that these countries, European countries, are impacted very negatively from this conflict. And if maybe this thing drags on and it depends on how Trump communicate with them, maybe convince them or not, we'll see. But now he's up against the hills because I mean everybody kind of committed themselves for non-engagement for this conflict. So it's gonna be difficult. But I want to mention also several important topics that impact or kind of new developments. Israel, as I mentioned, called new reserve soldiers. There is a Turkish-Arab coordination and more consultation on this war because they are affected very much negatively from this. Also, like Macron met with or talked to Pezeshkian, Iranian president, and he promised not to enter the war, but he also expressed his concerns. I see, like in the Iranian case, I see less relevance of the civilian leaders, either the president or the prime minister or foreign minister. They don't have much voice. They don't have much authority in this conflict. This is the conflict of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards. This is especially in the case. It was. I mean, they were controlling the scene. Now, during the war, they are like dominating the scene, and civilians only like interpreting and maybe like kind of justifying what's going on. Sometimes they don't have any idea or any weight in this decision making. Even like Pezeshkian apologized from the Gulf countries, but the Revolutionary Guards and Iranian military keep attacking the Arab countries. So this is symbolic, and also I mean, you mentioned about Trump threatening NATO, also very serious because this may also bring the end of NATO, or the relevance of NATO would be, very limited
Right.
after this war. If this, I mean, they cannot agree on anything, then this is gonna be a major rupture in the NATO alliance.